There is a bit of a story to today's video. I wasn't originally planning on making the topic I'm making. In fact, I wasn't actually sure if I'm gonna address this topic at all or not, but there have been some complications. Today's video, despite the title, is not about HiRez pretty hair, sorry buddy. And before we get into the actual topic, I would like to explain what kept me from it. Originally, I planned to make an entirely different video about something related to the PTS, the patch test server. Unfortunately, the patch test server was down all day for EU. And guess what? That wasn't just the case for today, we had the same problem yesterday. I don't want to rant here, I already did that on Twitter, but this is a plea to whoever was watching this and may either have something to do with HiRez, work for HiRez, or just anyone who likes to reach out to HiRez as well and maybe voice the same opinion that I have or a similar one regarding this. As a European content creator, I would like to bring you guys content regarding new patches as quickly as possible. I would like to bring you content for new gods, for new items, for new changes in general, and for new things like the adventure. In order to do that, I obviously have to have the PTS up, and for most of the things I want to try, I also have to have enough players online that can play with me. Now, finding players is not the hard part, but it's kind of hard when the PTS is not even up because no one can actually play then. Doesn't sound all too complicated, right? At the moment, I know from my own patch note streams that after the patch note streams, a lot of people will be waiting in hopes that the patch notes come up eventually and that the PTS, the patch test server, public test server, goes up at some point. Often enough, we wait at least an hour for the patch notes to go up, basically just wasting time, killing time in order to get there, and then we wait another 3, 4, 5, whatever hours in order to get a PTS online, which is especially the case when there's a new god to be played. And during this time, I always see the numbers trickling down. Right after the patch notes, there are a lot of people that want to play PTS, that want to see what's going on PTS and so on. 5 hours later, most of them have gone to bed. Patch notes create a lot of hype and a lot of people are excited, but the excitement kind of dies down when we all have to wait that long. Now, I understand that not everything can be up immediately all the time, but there are some measures that could be taken. For example, the patch notes will always be done before the patch note so goes live. I highly doubt there's a 10 minutes before patch note change, and if it is, it's nothing that cannot be changed in the written patch notes later on as well. The patch notes are usually posted on the website quite a few hours before the patch goes live. They're just not published yet. The patch test server, for some reason, is always not fully deployed right after patch notes. I'm not sure what this is about. I'm not sure if there's always some last minute fixes on them or if it's planned that way, if it's just that, okay, we do the patch notes and then we do the patch test server a few hours later. Really outside of my comprehension what the structuring here is, but I have a few propositions that could work either way. Number 1, schedule the PTS. Give your team enough room in order to get everything going 100% by the time that you schedule for, but schedule it. Schedule it later than you at the moment would schedule and say, oh yeah, it could be up in 1 hour. Schedule it for 5 hours later, but do it set on this 5 hours. If it's live beforehand, just make it so that no one can access it yet and that people can download the patch and then on this 5 hour spot, it goes live. When everyone can access it at the same time, you get a lot more people who want to join in, it's a lot easier to find matches, and well, in the end, it gets more hype for everything that's on the PTS going. Everyone can wait for it and be there at the right time. If I know that PTS is going live in 5 hours, I can go to sleep and get up again in 5 hours and I'm there for the PTS. Simple as that. That way, no one in the EU or any other region gets shafted either, even if it's been me just a short amount of sleep. At least you have this scheduling down, you know when you can either go to bed or get up again. Additionally, publish the patch notes right after the patch notes stream, with the PTS time on top of the patch notes, so everyone knows, okay, this is when it goes live. It can't be that hard to hit a publish button on a written document with a few images. Really, knowing that I can immediately switch an entire video from unlisted to public, I don't think it can be that much harder for a simple text file on a website. And last but not least, vary the downtime on different days, so it's not always the same region that gets hit by it. I understand that you prioritize NA because it's your working hours, but there's no harm in putting it off in the evening for NA ever so often. And yes, sometimes that means that a glitch will be on PTS a little longer, but it's not like that hasn't happened before. We've had glitches on PTS for days that have been noticed and mentioned and written in the forums, and they still were there for a longer time because really it's PTS. No one will be all too upset about an issue on PTS. All of that will lead to a nicer PTS experience, a lot less frustration with it, more hype for new content, and last but not least, more opportunities for content creators to create hype for that new content, or at least showcase that new content. This could be a very simple, streamlined process, not much that has to be done surrounding it. Sure, one could also consider scheduling the patch notes differently so that PTS is definitely up or something, but I don't even want to go that far. Just these measures would make it a lot easier for most of us. I know I've been rambling for 5 minutes now, but I really felt like I wanted to address this one because it's something that basically comes up every new patch notes. And then we have the other plea, which is much more specifically for this chat and also only really affects one department at HiRez. HiRez has a bit of a bad history when it comes to hair. We had such great models as Lego Hair Noah, Dead Skunk Poseidon, Alien Brain Afro, and Cleaning Mop Afro. All of these skins have very inferior hair quality, especially compared to the rest of the models, and that's not that big of a deal. It could look better, but there are restrictions as to how exactly hair can work on certain characters because hair has its own movement and so on, and that if you do overdo it basically will overload the character in that regard. This is kind of a render limitation, partially down to the engine that HiRez is using as well, the older Unreal engine. As such, it's understandable. It's no issue. But there is a skin that's coming out next patch where I think this is a bit too much of an issue to just be ignored. I'm very certain that the opinions on this will differ because it's always a matter of taste, and I've actually heard from some people that they don't really see any issue with it, while others really are bothered by it. This is my take on it and my plea to do something about this particular skin. The skin we're talking about is Exterminator Kali, aka Mushroom Head Kali. Some of you misunderstood me on my Willish rant back in the day about me saying that the character looks more sexualized than necessary, because I feel like some of you are gonna be like, oh yeah, you're just complaining about the skin because it's sexualized. I actually think that is absolutely fine in the theme of the skin. It fits with this sci-fi kind of style, it has this touch of Guardian of the Galaxy, and well, there's just, you know, in any kind of space comic style thing, you have those women with like alien skin colors and really tight clothes and showing a lot of skin. Nothing that would in any way bother or concern me, especially when we think about Kali's depictions as an actual goddess, which are way more sexualized than anything in SMITE ever was. If you look at the skin here, it actually looks really cool. I think both the card art as well as the in-game model look actually pretty damn amazing. I think it's a really cool style, really well executed, not much difference between the card art and the actual model as well, and it really made me want to play the skin when I first saw it on the patch notes as well, when they showed it from the front and all that. That was until I saw the walking animation. And that's when my reaction changed quite drastically. The hair and the shoulders of the skin look absolutely weird. Now the thing with the shoulders is she looks super hunched, as if she has some sort of cramp in her neck, but this is a bit down to the fact that she has 2 sets of arms, so well, naturally you're gonna look a little hunched, and I guess it's just hidden better in other skins because she has these arm braces that kind of cover it. Also in this particular skin the shoulders stand out more due to the metal look. And I think a big factor here is the hair as well, because the hairline is really close to the shoulders, making it look more hunched. The main point here is the hair though. The hair literally looks like a thin mushroom cap from some sort of, I don't know, sci-fi forest maybe, floating in the wind or in the water or whatever. It looks super strange, super gross, and it looks like many things, but definitely not like hair. And for me, that almost ruins the entire skin. I don't mind bob style hair, and I understand the limitations of the engine very well, I've said that before. But I think that if you see a model of a character from the back most of the time, as you do in SMITE, then you want to have it look good from the back as well. Ironically, it even looks good while she is standing, only when she's in motion is when the hair gets really weird because it kind of pops out to the sides on the back with a strange wave towards the bottom. What contributes to this issue is a weird spike at the bottom of her hair that kinda doesn't exist in any real hairstyle anyways. Thing is, this can all easily be fixed, and actually, instead of increasing the amount of motion needed for it, the amount of rendering or whatever, we can actually decrease that. And that's by taking away the red part that I have highlighted here. Now, I'm not saying make her look like Ramona Flowers from Scott Pilgrim, but rather make it so that the back part of her neck in that particular area is shaved out. That's something that looks very sci-fi, very fitting with the theme, and I never believed that I would have to look up hairstyle names for a SMITE related video, but apparently this is something called a inverted bob with a short back or something. Give an undercut kind of hairstyle, put all the hair to the front so she looks the same from the front and doesn't have this weird mushroom look from the back, and you can easily fix this without doing much about the skin in general. I would very much appreciate if this was taken into consideration, maybe for the patch, maybe a little bit later, to make her look a lot better, because I think that would be a huge upgrade with relatively minor effort for this skin. A lot of requests in today's video, I hope that at least some of them are heard. And with that, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope to see you all for the next one tomorrow, hopefully with more content for the new patch. If you're not subscribed yet, feel free to click the sub button and maybe the bell, it really helps me out. Also, I'm gonna drop some codes in the description and in the comments from time to time, so if you get notified early, you have a chance to get those as well. Hope to see you all for the next one tomorrow. DukeSloth, out.